Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Techgig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a better understanding or a crisp insight of various domains. Today's topic is around building competencies through excellence in people. And we have three guest speakers today. I'm going to introduce all three speakers one after the other. First, we have for the first 20-25 odd minutes, we have Amit Ray, who is the country head and general manager, Excellence in People Private Limited. Amit has 14 years of experience in various industries, including financial services, ITES, and healthcare, and worked in customer service, operations, marketing, and sales. He has been involved with people management from a very early stage in his career and has involved in designing and implementing development programs at his workplaces. He has trained on various topics ranging from finance and customer services to HR processes, performance management, and code of conduct. Our second speaker for today, we have Maureen Schofield. Maureen is the Managing Director of Cullen Schofield, an HR and management consultancy which was founded in 1986. She is a qualified HR strategist and speaker and brings with her a wide range of experience in different sectors, enabling her to provide her clients with creative and pragmatic ideas to resolve their management and people issues. She is a fellow of CIPD and the RSA and has been awarded an honorary membership of the city and guilds in recognition of their services to training and development. She is a great believer in the lead by example ethos, and her HR skills are delivered in a consultative style encouraging independence with a deep belief in the praise rather than blame culture. Through her leadership, Cullen Schofield has been accredited with the Investors in People Standard since 1998 and has achieved the gold standard in both 2010 and 2013. And with that, we come to our last most important speaker, Meena Sen. She's a postgraduate MSc by education, has 30 years of experience in the IT software industry in consulting and process improvement areas. She has worked with organizations in the government as well as private sector in India and across the globe. She has advised over 15 companies of medium to large size to get assessed for ISO, CMM, CMMI. She is a certified project management professional and is also an acclaimed trainer in area of process improvement. Her 10 years entrepreneurial experience has enabled her to identify key enablers that help organizations to face and work on challenges in managing business. At present, she is consulting in the area of customer, supplier relationship management, vendor assessment, contract reviews, building RFP, contract validation service, and human capital management and development. So without any further delay, let me introduce you all to our guest speaker, Amit Ray. Over to you, Amit.
Thanks, Sulogna. Thank you very much. Very good evening to the webinar delegates. Thank you for joining in. Very special thank you to Maureen and Meena for taking in the time out and speaking here. Well, the aspiration for the evening, of course, is that by the end of this webinar, we'll have a fair understanding as to what building competencies through excellence in people means. Well, before getting on anywhere, I'd like just to dwell upon why people at this age, in today's IT-enabled world, while we all know subconsciously that people are important, I'd like to remind every one of us that be it IT, be it human, consultancy, be it whatever the industry, the people is the core as far as delivering any product or service is concerned. Now, it's in this view that it's very important that we give people their true recognition in the kind of strategic advantage that they can play as far as the organization is concerned. And this particular strategic advantage or tool, as we would put it, would possibly blossom in a certain system or culture. But before we get onto that, let's figure out what some of the issues that these companies face. Now, out here I've enumerated some of the factors as far as employee problems are concerned and employer problems are concerned as well. But honestly, they're possibly, two sides of the same coin. For the matter, it's possibly manifestations of the same ailment. Now, what exactly that ailment is, we'll discover and try and figure out a solution on the way. Now, it stems from what the industry and several reports would call engagement gap. Now, the engagement gap here that we speak of, and as you can see from these reports, that most of these employers suffer from a situation where not all of the people who work for them invest their 100% in time as far as the certain job is concerned. Now, not only that, the employee engagement gap arises out of three factors. One, the engagement as far as the person's job is concerned, so the commitment to the job. Two, the alignment to the culture of the the company and the way they can contribute and better that system. And three, being aligned to the goals and ambitions of the company. So these are some of the factors that go into the engagement gap, and as you can see, some of the reports say that it's, employees are engaged to the degree of about 31% of the time. More interestingly, there are other reports which showcase the fact that employers, more than 53% of the time, are not even confident as to how to, engage the skills that they have brought over onto the table. So the engagement is not only from a perspective of time as far as the people are concerned, but it's also from a perspective of how to leverage and exploit the skill sets that the company has within it. Now, so what should be the way ahead? Right. Now, the thing is, gone are those days where we look into transactional engagement, where we engage the person from one job or task to another. This can be done through various means of appraisal systems, etc. Nor do we get the same kind of leverage by focusing only on silos of training and development like that in customer service, in sales, or the others. And a whole lot of these factors ultimately turn out to be only cosmetic in nature, if at all they have a very short-lived lifespan at the office space, for the simple reason that these approaches are not holistic. They don't go into defining what the ownership, how to develop the ownership, and what the people development and management of the company should actually encompass. They don't get into a rigorous method of changing the behavior and the culture of the system itself, so that the culture and system by itself feeds onto making the whole system much better, and in its stead attracting people on board who can make it even further the betterment. Now, this takes us to the aspects which are important as far as the linkage, the people development are concerned. On the slide are some of the factors which all go into the linkages of people, human capital development and management. Let me take you through some of these. The fact is, the business planning is the core as far as any company is concerned. And the clarity of the goals is what starts the whole thing in motion. At the end of the day, we should remember the people are in an organization so that the organization is able to deliver. Now, that what it needs to deliver needs to be clearly set out. And what the vision and mission, as stated here, means is not something that is put into a frame and hung up in the the corridors of the organization, but rather the actual and true ambition and goals of the company. Now, there needs to be an alignment as far as these ambitions are concerned, the planning is concerned, and that should ultimately roll on to the people. So, as far as business planning is concerned, people who are important should be involved. And as far as vision and mission is concerned, each and every employee at whatever level should understand to the degree that is requisite for that level as to what the direction of the company is and what and how his or her own job helps to bring about that positive change in that direction. Now, overall, we did speak about engagement. Now, engagement is not something which comes directly by professing it or taking people into a classroom. There needs to be an avenue or platforms created for involvement of the people. Now, this involvement is involvement towards achieving the goals and the vision mission. Now, for this involvement, the empowerment becomes a prerequisite. For the simple reason is that at any position, if that role or that chair lacks empowerment, he or she is not going to be able to be involved and deliver to the degree that is required by that chair. Now, all this can only happen when there is clear communication. And this communication cannot be one way but both ways. And it's through this process of consultation that change or things come about. Now, if you note the other factors that have been put there, things like managing capabilities, management effectiveness, induction, role, and change, each one of them actually play a part in setting out a structure to the company to achieving the business goals and mission and vision of the company is concerned. Now, it is how the learning and development strategy and overall the mechanism that weave these things together evolve a system that can deliver, actually produces the engagement that we are talking about. Again, that's not the end. There has to be a composite performance management. There has to be a mechanism by which there is ample scope of feedback received from all sectors and abilities to be able to provide feedback as well. And when this whole motion is set into a continuum, there is a sense of continuous improvement that gets into the system. So the whole thing, as you would see in the diagram on the right, gets onto a process where it becomes a planning, a doing, and a reviewing. And with the review, when feedback gets into the system as to what needs to be bettered, the betterment happens at each and every level which have been pointed onto the left, which is business planning, vision, involvement, empowerment, consultation, and likewise. And such, the wheels of this whole motion of, or the framework, is set to get along. Now, having said that, how do we actually figure out what needs to be done? This is all very nice, I mean, business planning and etc. But somewhere these are just jargons which are being placed, and we do not know what exactly needs to be set in motion. Now, what one needs to do as far as understanding what's happening within the company with regard to those factors pointed out is to get into a gap analysis. Now, that would possibly come, as I mentioned, from what the company needs to achieve at all. So it should not be prescriptive, rather it should take into account what the goals and ambition of the company is, and from there derive what needs to be done, as we've seen earlier in this, what the vision, mission, and how the involvement, empowerment, consultation should flow on. Now, how does one get to know what the planning and etc., and how whether the company is involving people or whether there's enough consultation in place? Well, this methodology suggests that you listen to the people and not simply look at the documents or, for that matter, things in the file or which have been sent as emailers. Not only listen to the people at all levels need to be listened to. Unfortunately, this is not a practice which is effected at every organization. People hear the people of a certain standing. So it's either the top managers or line managers who've given a patient hearing, but the frontliners aren't. Also, one needs to understand that in an environment, people would not be speaking up if the person is not given the comfort that what he or she says is going to go in to helping the system, but be anonymous as far as who's provided the information. So effectively, what one should do is, slice an organization, or for that matter, any department, at 3 levels. You have the top managers, you have the managers, you have the frontline staff, and then through a process of consultation, through them, engaging them in conversations, you weave the information for a gap analysis and activity from there. Now, just as an example, for example, in the previous slide we had mentioned involvement and empowerment. So factors that could be asked to top management could be things like, whether they can describe consultation arrangements they have in place to encourage people to take part in decision making at both an individual and a representative level. Managers can then describe how they promote a sense of ownership and responsibility, say by encouraging people to be involved in decision making, both individually and through representative groups where they exist. And the frontliners, they can describe how they are encouraged to be involved in decision making that affects the performance of individual teams and the organization at a level that is, of course, appropriate for that level. Now, when these levels are not mixed and they've done, they've catered to separately, information comes in which will tell you whether what is being planned and what is happening is congruent or not. And if not, where the gaps arise. And that would be the basis for the gap analysis. And of course, one critical factor here is that these kind of gap analysis is almost impossible to do by someone within the system, because as mentioned there, a dispassionate third-party view cannot be brought in. Now, this is about the gap analysis, but then what? What needs to be done? A little bit on the operationalization is looked into here. Well, as I mentioned, there seems to be a phone ringing quite wildly behind there. But as I mentioned, the first thing to be done, of course, is get senior level commitment on that, what the plan of the business is and the goals and ambitions, and if at all, whether there could be any focus areas as far as taking this framework forward. The next step, as I mentioned, and which I've mentioned in detail to you, is the gap analysis, which would automatically throw up the activity planning that needs to be done for the organization. Now, that activity planning automatically should roll up to the organization, and they should have an implementation window. Now, this window would always needs to be at the client's own discretion and cannot be ordained to be completed within a certain X number of days, because the client themselves would have their own priorities at hand. But however, when the client has effected it, and it is critical that they call the third party back for an assessment. This is again just to check from a, so to speak, auditor's perspective, whether what they have done have actually gone in the direction as what needed to be effected. Of course, the fallout could be that the organization might have a few more things to get and reach that benchmark that has been laid across for them, or better still, if they've achieved it, they should be in a position to climb that standard with time. And whichever standard, or accreditation that they get because of this will be the, hallmark for being able to sustain that degree of quality human capital management and development. And for that matter should have a certain expiry date, because we all know that organizations go through, phenomenal amount of changes with time. Now, some of the tenets as far as this standard is concerned is it needs to be definitely people-centric. Now, when it's people-centric, it obviously is agnostic to the industry and the company. It cannot be a difficult thing to implement, which has huge amount of reading and manuals which go along with it. In today's world, it becomes very difficult to partake in that, and the steps followed should be easy to follow through. However, having said that, simplicity doesn't mean that it should not be powerful. It should be a value-driven thing and not cosmetic. Behavioral changes should be effected within the organization, and it should not lie somewhere as just tick marks of a certain exercise which has been effected. And another factor is, while if the client engages to get along with the standard, one can understand the client has invested in it. How and when the client gets along in completing this framework should be at the client, and he should not be pressurized because in today's world, there are 5,000 other priorities lying on each desk. But that would not take away the responsibility of the third party to engage with the client and interact and show and help him or the organization to achieve the benchmark standard which the client is looking at deriving. Well, the way the holistic approach actually unfolds itself is this. If you remember, we've actually looked at all those factors which start from business planning downwards to involvement, consultation, management capabilities, recruitment, etc. Now, when that is linked up, and a consistent improvement process is effected, it embeds a strong change culture and leadership. And mind you, everything that happens within is with the alignment as far as the ambitions and the goals of the company is concerned. So automatically the organization sees a lot of cost and wastage reduction. It sees a lot of skill set improvements. Through the consultation process, things become far more flexible because of the involvement and factors in increased engagement levels. There's higher motivation. The higher degree of commitment actually results in greater productivity. The productivity automatically manifests itself into customer satisfaction. And as soon as that happens, there are fiscal benefits that flow in. Net-net, what you realize is by tweaking those systems within and trying to figure out from all those three levels whether things are being effected in a proper way or not, a competitive edge can be brought out within the system through the people. Now, and this is a phenomenal competency for the simple manner, be it any organization, and if it's onto a service or a product platform, their actual product or service is very much in the open to be replicated. But when you drive the human capital up to a higher degree of skill set and productivity, that's very difficult to match up by competition. And when this is done in a continuum, it starts reaping rewards and there is sustained profits. The way the whole thing adds up is how it is given here. The people management and framework described actually goes on to effect perceived non-financial performance first. That in its stead, like a domino effect, gives a positive impact on perceived financial performance, and until the financial performance itself has a better standing. Some of the impact factors, as we had discussed previously, are given here. It's the left-hand side are all these small little things which come up as a result of these perceived financial factors. On the right side, you'll find the financial factors which are ultimately affected. But moreover, and most importantly, the organization is able to turn itself into an effective change agent. And because of that, any changes in external environment changes is adopted and countered internally to be able to provide a sustained growth and improve profits. So as a summary, what we've seen here is that while we need to recognize that people are the greatest assets in any organization, we have to make a transition from a transaction level, task-bound employee engagement to a holistic human capital development and management method. It needs to be simple yet powerful. It will automatically engage people, increase motivation. It will definitely create happier employees, and through its linkages, ultimately create effective change agents, continuous improvements, and sustained growth. Thank you. I'll pass over the presentation to Maureen now.
Thank you so much, Amit. I'm going to put you on hold, and I'm going to make Maureen the next presenter. Hi, Maureen.
Hi, I hope everything is now visible.
Yes, everything is visible.
Fabulous, we now have the technology. It's great to be here, and a fabulous opportunity for me to share with you why I believe that investors in people is in our DNA, and really that means that excellence in people and what excellence in people is promoting is absolutely valid, and I can share the story with you. So if I move on from that, it is a strange thing to say, and I know that Amit has sort of said, you know, people are our greatest asset, and I think sometimes that phrase is said very glibly by organizations. And I would like to share with you the story of Cullen Schofield and what we've done to bring that to life. So taking it right from the start, we were founded in 1986, and when Investors in People was first launched in 1991, we thought about it, but we thought it was for larger companies. Cullen Schofield is a human resource consultancy, and we develop human resource specialists, and we also develop managers. We deal with coaching and mentoring and all of the good things that, as our strapline says, passionate about developing people. But we are quite a small, tight organization. However, in 1998, we decided that it would be a really good idea to have a look at our people practices and see whether we actually measured up against Investors in People. And we first achieved that in 1998. We found it very useful. What we like is to have an independent third party come to have a look at our business. And one of the scary and yet enjoyable things about Investors in People is that everybody in the organization is involved. There is a sample framework of people who get interviewed. So if you're a very large company, a sample of people are talked to, and you don't know who's going to be talked to first. In very small companies like ours, 100% of the workforce is interviewed. And that can be scary because you don't know what they're going to say and what they're going to be asked. And so the interviewers from Investors in People, and in India it would be from Excellence in People, are very skilled at eliciting good, honest feedback. So, first achieved in 1998, and the Investors in People standard has 39 indicators to meet, and we felt the spirit of continuous improvement is strong within our company. We're always wanting to say, can we do it better? Can we do it more effectively? Can we do it faster? Can we do it more cheaply without losing the quality? So when the bronze, silver and gold recognition became available, we were interested in it as it gave us an a way of measuring ourselves against more indicators, and there are 192 in total. And the gold standard requires you to achieve 165, and in 2010 we achieved 176 indicators. And that spirit of continuous improvement, which we feel so passionately about, was actually endorsed when in 2013, this year, we achieved gold for the second time. And we, in fact, increased the indicators that we met to 186. So any of you good with mathematics means that that's only 6 left for us to go for. I don't know whether we'll ever get the full house, but that could be something interesting. So, you know, this consistent going for the standards is really interesting. We also know from the stats that the statistics that we got from from Investors in People, that there are very few companies who've actually achieved Investors in People Gold. So less than 1,000 companies globally have actually achieved it. And they range from large to very small companies like ours. We still don't know how many of those companies, of the 1,000 companies, less than 1,000, have actually achieved it twice. But we're trying to get that data out from the people who manage Investors in People. So that's an interesting stat to know. So why did we do it? Well, our business has been challenged by the economy. I think everybody is feeling the pressure. Here we're our customers are expecting more for the same money or sometimes even less, and we need to actively demonstrate added value. Now, if we're going to do that, we need everybody to take ownership of what we do and to feel a part of the business. So on the plus side, we have a very stable team of consultants. The longest serving has 26 years of service and the shortest 6 years of service. So in many ways, that way, our outward-facing work with the customers is stable. However, our administration team, our back office team, it's the engine that keeps the business running, is absolutely vital to us. But obviously, because we employ people who need to progress and grow their careers, they need to leave us for good reasons. So in 2010, we've had a team of people who, by the time we hit 2013, only one person remained that was the same. So we had almost a brand new admin team. My real concern there was, gosh, how will we make Investors in People part of their daily lives? How will we make them feel that they are truly working for an Investors in People organization? Now, to me, the challenge with Investors in People is you can't put it on like a sticking plaster. They just need to think, oh, this is the way we do business. So we had to start and think right from the beginning. So early in 2012, I sat down and thought about the strategic direction for the business for the next, till take us to 2015. And I said that in very broad terms. At that time, early in 2012, I couldn't see the economy easing considerably. And we talked amongst ourselves, the managers, as to what we thought would be important for the business. And then came the expensive part, which is getting everybody together and to collaboratively work through the goals and the objectives for the business. And in a way, this links back to Amit's session where he's saying, get it aligned to the company goals. And I believe that Investors in People actually helps you do that by just giving you that simple discipline to look at your goals in a realistic manner, and then to have objectives. And this year, one of the changes, or sorry, in 2012, when we were setting our business plan for the coming years, everybody was taking responsibility for the achievements of the objectives. And I'm just going to show you an example, because sometimes seeing how it can be done could be useful. And I'm hoping this will work as a spreadsheet. So nothing rocket science here for you technical people. I've just taken a simple Excel spreadsheet. We have our focus of areas, and the ones you can see are blue in communication, yellow in sales and marketing, and the green starts out with product development. And then each of them is given a unique reference point so that we know which it is. And then we have a milestone. So first of all, for example, we've got established regular communication vehicle for associates. And the priority was for that to be achieved in January 2013. So we've adopted a simple RAG system, red, amber, green, to show where we believe we have a problem. And so amber, this is an ongoing thing. And you can see here that Susan actually took the lead for that. And then if we go down and have a look at another one, we can see that in 310 in the yellow sales and marketing area, we wanted to carry out a competitor analysis. And here you can see that one of our very junior people, a lady called Holly, actually took that as a task, and she led that. So everybody in the business had a clear, almost route map as to what their personal objectives were in terms of helping the business move forward. And this means that the achievement of these milestones actually impacts on the business. And so there is total alignment, as Amit was saying. So it doesn't need to be complicated, but it can be quite systematically put in. And also this is very transparent. This is on our shared drive. Everybody has access to it. Everybody can see who has achieved and who has not achieved. And that transparency, I believe, whilst initially can be quite frightening, is actually the strongest thing that a business can have. So if we move on and say what the challenges were, certainly junior members of the team needing to learn how to influence senior members. So how to have the courage to tackle a more senior person who hasn't done as you've requested. And that is a really interesting thing, because I can remember Holly coming to me and sort of saying, oh, so-and-so hasn't helped me. And I thought, well, I shared with her my thoughts, and I said, well, I can go and say, Holly's told me that you haven't done it, please do it. Or I could give it back to her and say, okay, Holly, now you think about how you can regroup and influence that people to help you achieve the objectives. So she's learning at the same time. Another thing is finding the time to bring the team together. We're a very virtual organization, and whilst England is very small, our people don't all live in the same town, so we have to transport them to where we're based. We have to overnight them for accommodation and then take time out on a regular basis. So those costs mount up. So, and then finding the time in busy diaries for that to occur. But it is being very disciplined and committed to the fact that these events will occur once a quarter. And so every quarter we review how we're getting on. And then managers can review that on a more regular basis as well. Another challenge that we've had is accepting that the best made plans don't often deliver, and that sometimes deadlines have to move and we have to be realistic. I think in the days that we're working in these days, everybody is working at 110%, and it is sometimes useful to just stop and say, okay, as in the immortal worlds of one of the American theorists, who says, well, you sometimes need to have a list of what you need to stop doing. And so sometimes deadlines are movable and timescales need to be changed. And so this recognition that original plans may need to change is an important challenge to accept. Now, what have we actually gained from this? Well, as a human resource consultancy, or as people consultancy as we've branded ourselves these days, I believe that it's absolutely critical that we prove that we practice what we preach, that we demonstrate that it can be done. And so that, to me, is a unique USP. And in fact, the Chartered Institute that we do a lot of work with has achieved gold status, and we're very pleased to be associated with them. But as we know, we're the only provider in their awarding body that has also achieved gold. And it's also fabulous to meet up with some of our clients who've also achieved gold status. And we suddenly have a much more deeper dialogue with them, because we all know how much effort we put into achieving the gold. And as our clients come up for reaccreditation yet, because we haven't yet met one that has come up for reaccreditation, it's interesting to sort of share the stories and say, well, what challenges will be facing you this time? And now to the really important stuff. Our people understand precisely how they help the business to function and grow. And I believe that that spreadsheet that I showed you was a tangible way of everybody seeing, and is still currently a tangible way of everybody seeing exactly where we are. And it's open and it's honest. And the objectives are their objectives. They own them because they actually had a part of developing them. So this is not lofty senior managers saying this is the way you go, follow or else. This is about consultation. This is about involvement. This is about senior management listening to everybody in the business. And then moving on to more of what we've gained. We believe that everybody experiences managerial responsibility by being the lead for the objectives. Whether they are a manager or not, they have that a feeling of responsibility and real responsibility. And also, when things don't quite go right or we need to change things, the need for change is totally understood. I certainly believe, as many people believe, is that we are living in increasingly chaotic times, and managers and individuals need to learn how to cope with chaos. And chaos equals change, and there is no resistance to change either if people have been involved in that change. Another more scary point is that people have the opportunity to challenge managers in a positive way. So if they don't believe that something will work, we are expecting them to tell us that it won't work and why, and maybe suggest other ways of doing it. And the viability of the business is owned by all of us. People feel that they're empowered. So what about the bottom line? When I was talking to Amit recently, I was saying, well, we haven't got fabulous stories of saying, well, we were here and the business has grown to here. But in a challenging market, what we have managed to do is we've managed to retain our sales and perhaps have marginal improvements on last year, but we have been able to reduce our costs and increase our profitability. And that to us in a declining market is a plus. So thank you to Amit for seeing it as more of a plus than I perhaps appreciated it to be. And what behaviours do I see? Well, I see enthusiasm for the jobs. I see an opportunity for people to be stretched and grown. I see the opportunity for innovative ideas. So if somebody comes up and says, well, I think we should do it this way, there is a consideration given to that, and it's good for people to see their ideas being adopted. We have a weekly blog, and so everybody takes part in that, and if somebody has got an idea, we can use it. Open communication is another thing. And sometimes, again, that is very scary. It's not about taking somebody into a private room if something is wrong. It's about talking to them and explaining it why something is wrong immediately, rather than waiting for a week or a month. And equally, if somebody's doing things correctly, to be absolutely full of praise and enthusiasm. So that in itself, I believe, brings respect and gives people the chance to respect junior members of staff, and for senior members to respect those who own the company. It also gives us some energy to do things better because we know why we're doing them and we know what we're doing. And most of all, we try and have some fun. And I was saying to Amit last night, two of us went to a Bollywood evening at a local restaurant here in England, and it was good fun. So work and fun all go together. And really, I'm probably a little bit ahead of time, but around about just under 20 minutes. And all I can say is thank you very much for participating in this webinar, and thank you, Amit, for giving me the opportunity. And I welcome the opportunity now to take questions as well and hear from the next presenter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maureen, for the great presentation. And now I pass this session on to Meena.
Hello, everybody. I hope you could hear me. I don't have a presentation, but I would be taking the session further. Amit has explained to us how to build competencies through excellence and how people are important. Maureen explained us how their company benefited out of IIP implementation. My topic, which I will be speaking only for 5 minutes or so, would be based on 3 aspects of any organization, 3 pillars, which are people, process, and technology. So far we have been discussing about processes and technology, but the people is a central portion, is an apex portion. If the right people using right processes, right technology, then organizations improve. The competencies in the organizations are built, and organization gets rewards through better business and through improved financials of the business. I've been in the process improvement area for a long time. What I've observed is there are good work, good written and observed and implemented processes, but still organizations get challenged in achieving the business results or business goals that they have set up. On the other hand, to make those processes better, many organizations try to put in larger and larger technology, which many people are not aware how would they impact their work as well as their business goals. So I feel that if people are to be kept central, and both the processes should be geared toward how people will contribute in processes. And so by that I mean to say that the people-oriented processes and all the technologies that is going to be put in company if people are focused and people are aware how this technology would improve their day-to-day working as well as the business goals or the goals that are set up on this. If you see, for many years we have a lot of process-based models which are available for organizations to take their company for better results, for better quality and for improved productivity, better results, better deliveries, etc. For example, if you see ISO or CMM or CMMI or IIP or TCMMI, all these models are geared or their main focus is improving business. So undoubtedly all of them talk the same. Only the implementation portion is what is different. In some cases it is more documentation or more adherence based. In some cases it is more based on how the processes, people and technology would improve the business. In some cases the processes are business oriented, which means the processes and people are set to improve the business alone. So the main focus is improving the productivity so that the goals of the organization are achieved. For that, create the processes, create the technology, and make use of people using both these components of PPT, that is process, people and technology. So in the area of people-centric processes, you have multiple such standards available. For example, there is a standard which is PCMM, that is People Capability Maturity Model. You also have some kind of survey-based benchmarking of the companies, which is called Gallup standard. Both of them are very much people-focused, just like IIP, which Maureen has already explained its importance. So all these three are comparable models. If you notice CMM or ISO, they are more of process-oriented models. So they believe that the good processes will result in good productivity, good product quality, and thereby it will improve the business results. Whereas investors in people talk about, it recognizes that business plans and performance are mainly based on the people performance, and the people performance are based on the processes that are deployed on the people. So naturally, this helps you to understand which processes are critical for the business, how to improve them so that the performance is achieved. In PCMM model, of course, this is a strategy which organization understands that the business plan and organization vision are most important. However, how to focus its inclusion in the process and technology, other portion of it, is not categorically or clearly written. So there are some plus points, there are some points which need to be studied while you work on different standards. I have only 1 minute left now, where I'm going to say that the models are based on people, process, technology. Use the model in right way so that you improve the business. And in today's world where technology is improving a lot, processes are also built around that. The most critical component today is building people. If people are rightly, because in the changing technological world, people need to be improved a lot. So mainly focus on people, get the right model, and go ahead with the implementation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Meena. Um, this is a request for all our experts to now start taking questions. I have already assigned a couple of questions to Amit and Maureen, and I'm still getting more questions from our attendees. Amit, Maureen, and Meena, if you could probably take up your questions one after the other, followed by the answer.
Sure. Sure. Thanks, Sulagna. One of the questions that I've got is, could you explain some ways to ensure complete anonymity? Anonymity was something which I mentioned as far as the process is concerned. The person who's brought this question up feels that at some point or some level there would not be any anonymity at all. Now, the thing is, see, the first things first. I'm describing a framework or a method of getting a certain standard effected, a standard or a quality standard of human capital management and development within a system. Now, what I described was a mechanism by which you ensure the organization develops that culture or system. Now, when we are trying, when that framework is being put into place and the consultants go, the consultants should be trained and they should have the necessary years of experience behind them, which will ensure that they word it in such a way that that anonymity is absolutely there. I mean, anonymity as far as the framework is concerned is sacrosanct. And there is no way there could be a slip or allowed to have a slip there. Of course, what tends to happen with such things, and one could know, is that if a person has been known within the system to say certain things loudly, there automatically comes a bias that this information has been picked from that particular person. But the framework does not get subjected to that bias. The gap analysis, the activity planning, the diagnostics that the framework produces, it has far more, or rather complete relevance on what is said rather than who said it. Well, that's my answer to it. I hope I got some satisfaction out of that. Maureen, maybe you can take the next one.
Sure. I could actually add to your answer. I think from my experience with the investors, assessors who come in to do the visit, they are always incredibly sensitive and expert. And I think everybody is always realistic that their people need to get things off their chest. But equally, I think things need to be put into proportion. And it was funny because we're such a small organization, everybody contributed into our report, and yet when the assessor wrote up the report that we had, he was using quotes, but my team were quite amusing in a way, because they were reading through the report and saying, oh, I said that, and that's because there is a culture of trust and openness. And I'm saying that maybe on the early days for investors, that needs to just grow. So, you know, it's a step at a time. I hope that helps. I have, yeah.
No,
Yes.
sorry, Maureen, please continue.
Yeah, Maureen, if you could take up your question, the one that I have assigned.
Yes, is that the one from Smita?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, okay. The question is, why is it that some organizations do not seem to be comfortable about getting processes for various things related to an employee in place? Wouldn't that in return help an organization because it would result in their taking care? I think many managers sometimes just don't recognize the importance of being organized in that way. And I think sometimes people have to learn the hard way that people do actually make a difference to the business. And until they learn that, there's not a lot that you can do about it. But I think listening to stories like ours and listening to people who have done it, you can gradually encourage an organization to do that, to do the right thing. So I have no idea why people are not comfortable from it, because, you know, if you really believe that people are the difference between a good company and a bad company, well, it just makes so much sense. And if you have people that are enthusiastic and polite and friendly and want to help, you're going to go back to that organization all the time. I mean, we've just commissioned some research this summer where a number of our past customers are being talked to, and the thing that they recognize as the most important thing is the way in which our people are handling them, and that's why they've chosen to do business with us. That to me is one of the most powerful reasons, and we just need more examples.
All right, thank you, Maureen. Amit, you can take it up.
The next question that I have is, how should an organization help an employee recruited for a particular skill but not assigned a job of that skill? Well, first of all, let me put it across. Perhaps this framework is meant for companies who do this. And, you know, the framework obviously talks about, as you would have noticed when I was, you know, presenting, aspects of induction and role change. So the factors which go as far as being induced into that new role is concerned, when the skill set is not there, needs to be effected as a process. It should be part of the system, and there should be a culture which says that which says that, you know, the person cannot do this job until he or she has been taken through ABCDs, which will ensure that the skill sets are, well, if I may, updated for that particular role at hand. So the whole idea is to change the very way the company looks at doing things. So it's not about addressing a particular task here, but once it does this and a composite holistic culture is effected, which in consultation with the employee as to what he or she needs, this particular issue, which is basically a symptom, can easily be addressed.
All right.
Maureen,
Meena,
perhaps the next one.
yeah, before that, I would request Meena to take up her question. I have assigned her one question so far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's how productivity will be improved by selecting PCMMI model. Is a question which is assigned to me. Well, I was talking about the models and the productivity. The PCMMI model, where it talks about business performance and workforce capability. So if I say that, is there a direct link between productivity and the business performance? Or will the productivity will be improved by selecting a PCMMI model? The answer is yes and no. Because if you select PCMMI model, you have selected for a definite purpose of improving capability of people or organization's capability improved. And when the organization's capability improves, naturally it improves the business performance. And the business performance, one of the direct contributor is the productivity. So in PCMMI, in the people capability maturity model, you always have measurement at multiple levels of organization, that is at individual level, group-wise, workforce, competencies, and so on. So one of the measures of individual or a team member or a group working in a company will be based on the productivity. So when the organization says that we improve on the productivity, it is actually improvement in the capability of delivering certain things, and those certain things, the delivery component, the process component is by allocating the work culture in the organization. So it is not related to how many lines of code one person writes or how many parts a person can make every day. That productivity is not directly, because that's a standard process, input, output, and process kind. Here when we are talking about people capability maturity models, the people are actually, as the organization's maturity increases, the people capability to deliver what is assigned and what is needed for business gets automatically measured, and that gets improvised. That is all the maturity what we are talking about in the capability model. So when I said the answer is yes and no, because we cannot directly say that by employing PCMMI your productivity will increase. However, one can easily say that yes, if a company is going through PCMMI model, there is a fair chance that the company will achieve the business goals that it has set up, and the business goals set up will necessarily have one component as productivity of the workforce. I hope I have answered it.
Thank you, Meena. Maureen, if you're okay, you can take up one more question. And Amit also, you can end up
Yes,
one
sure.
more question.
Sure. So I've got a question which says, what are the ingredients we need to take into consideration when creating a strategy? Is that the one you were meaning?
Yes, Maureen.
Hello?
Yes, Maureen.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah.
I think there are various models that you can use when you're creating a strategy. For example, there is a very good model called the PESTLE model, which asks you to look at your organization through a series of lenses. PESTLE, P for political, so what is the political surroundings of where your organization is functioning in the different areas, maybe around the world that it's functioning in. E is for economy, and we all know there are very few good news stories about the economy, but also what are your feelings, what are the projections for the economic welfare. S is the social side, so this is the society that you're drawing your workforce from, where you're targeting your market. T is technology. Do you need any changes to your technology? We're so aware of the ever-changing and fast-paced change of technology. L would be for legal stuff, and E for the environment. And also you can have a look at other ways of looking at it. There's Porter's 5 forces, which is looking at the bargaining power of customers, the threat of new entrants, substitute products, competitive rivalry between you and others, and the bargaining power of suppliers. So you can use these theoretical models. What we actually do is we look at our business and say, for our business, customers are right at the heart of it. So we always worry about customer satisfaction. And then it's the communication, our internal processes and systems, our use of technology. We like to consider that we're at the leading edge of things, so what product development do we need to do, and sales and marketing. And we look at it through those lenses. I don't know whether that answers the question, but I hope it goes away to thinking about what what to worry about when looking at a strategy.
Thank you, Maureen. Amit, we can take up one last question.
All right, I've got actually 3 questions in front of me, so let me just see. Uh, I'll take it in order, in the sense that can we address a dissatisfied employee with a rewards program? My answer to that is perhaps no. But the whole aspect is the framework would ensure that the person or the employer understood why the employee is dissatisfied to start with, and go on through the consultation process, make necessary changes so that the aspects of dissatisfaction are taken care of. And as far as the rewards program is concerned, well, it depends. I mean, if the dissatisfaction is because of the rewards program, another revisit of the rewards program and the rewards and recognition program, for that matter, would possibly settle the issue. But overall, what we're trying to say is that the framework will definitely increase the communication within the system. The transparency, as Maureen had mentioned in her presentation, increases manyfold. And people understand where his or her footing is, and the dissatisfactions are far, far less. And that's how it works.
I would agree, Amit. I think that's a good summary.
Thanks, Maureen. So, Lagna?
Yes. Okay. So as we come to the end of our session, I would like to thank you, Amit. Thanks, Maureen and Meena, for taking time out off your busy schedule and coming here. That was a really great and insightful presentation, I must say. We do have other questions also, but due to time limitation, we can take the questions offline. With your due permission, of course, Amit, Maureen, and Meena, if the attendees ask for your email IDs, we could share the details with them, and they can pass on the questions to you.
Most welcome.
Great. And this is for all the attendees. The recording of today's session will be available on techgig.com tomorrow. Any question, any queries from the webinar, please feel free to get in touch with us. And would like to thank all of you for your support for today's webinar. And thank you once again, Amit, Maureen, and Meena.
So, Lagna, just 1 minute. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I just wanted to add one more factor. This Building Competencies Through Excellence in People is a series of seminars that EIP is holding.
Right.
There are going to be more in Bangalore, in Mumbai and Delhi. These are day seminars.
Right.
So if anyone is interested in the session, please do mail me across.
Great. So that's an added information. Definitely, I hope that the attendees will get in touch with us, and whatever information is required, we will pass them over to you.
Lovely. Thanks so much.
Okay. It was a pleasure having you guys on board today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.